Division I athlete gives up a lot to do what they do. They give up a social life, they give up a lot of things. Lots of times they're miles from home, and there's an opportunity there for them to be involved in things that aren't necessarily what they need to be involved in. The one thing that they don't have to give up because of FCA is their faith.
Being a student athlete and the schedules that we have, it's real hard to, to attend church and to find ways to worship God. Knowing Chris and him being a student athlete at one point is huge for me, as to the point to where he's been through it all and he's there for advice. He knows what it's like. He's not just there, as a mentor. He's there as someone who's lived it himself.
For the longest time, I had felt alone, and I didn't really know why. But once I started going to FCA, it changed everything, and Chris made me realize that I had God. God was on my side, and no matter what, I could go to Him. But if I didn't feel okay with God, Chris and Tammy were both there, and to have them there meant everything, because there were times where I was really upset or I just had questions that were unanswered, and Chris and Tammy could give me an answer and just made me feel a lot better about whatever situation I was in.
Chris has been a great example for me. Having him around has showed me what it really means to be a Christian. Seeing Chris do it every day and be so consistent in his walk with Christ has inspired me to be just like him. And I look at him as more than a team chaplain. I look at him as a role model. I tell Chris everything. He's been a part of some of the biggest decisions in my life, and I love him like a brother.
Being around Chris and FCA has meant the world to me, really. In high school, I went to church and stuff, but as soon as I came to college, I kind of fell away from it all, and I really didn't feel comfortable going to a lot of the churches. And, when I was younger, I used to look up to, other sports figures and stuff like that, but, it's kind of hard to look up to someone you really don't know. And Chris, I know him, and just to see all the things he's done, how good of a father he is and how good of a husband he is, it's something I can only wish to be like that one day.
My mother was diagnosed with colon cancer, and Chris was there the day that it happened, and he has been to every single one of my mom's chemo appointments, and while they were in there, while she was getting chemo, he was professing his love for Christ for all the other people there. And just the fact that he's there for me, I know he's a very busy person, he has a lot going on, and he would take the time out of anything and anything he could ever do and spend that time with me.
Chris is there 24/7. I've called him in the middle of the night, I've called him early morning, I've called him middle of the day, and he always answers. No matter what he's doing, he has such a good heart. He wants to help so much. He truly cares about me, and he's really kind of like an extension of my family. I'm never afraid to tell Chris, hey, I did this, or I'm feeling this. He doesn't judge me, one way or the other. Whether it's good, bad, and different. He passes no judgment. He sees me for who I am, and just loves me, just like Christ. And so he's really kind of that rock for me, when times are going tough.
Chris reminds us that we are ambassadors of the kingdom to campus, because in a major college and collegiate athletics, it could be an extremely selfish world. And I think that his weekly Bible studies and encouraging messages really keep that in perspective, because in our business, coaches look out for coaches and players look out for players. And we don't want to have that mindset. We want to look out for the players. We want to look out for others. He always reminds us of that.
In a busy lifestyle that we live as coaches, where we're traveling and out of town a lot, to have that base that we can come home to. And I do go to the Bible study that he has for coaches on Wednesdays, and I think it's just nice to have a group that you can get together with and worship with together. It's kind of low-key, especially with the stress of the week and everything, that you can just really sit back and share what the week has been for you. And it's not an every Sunday that I get to go to church, and I don't want to say that I feel guilty, but I do feel that I'm missing out on that spiritual uplifting that you get from going to church. So to be able to have that on a Wednesday Wednesday, you know, during the week. Even when I do get to go to church, just to have that during the middle of the week, because sometimes the beginning of the week doesn't always start off so smooth. And to have that, it just somehow is able to turn my week around.
I've met Chris Morgan, I've met Scott Long, and a host of other people along with FCA that have helped change my life. I was involved in a lot of things that I should have been involved in. I come from a broken home, impoverished home. But God had a plan for my life, and He saved me from sin. For the people who've never known Christ, for the people who've never seen Christ, you know, there's a locker room full of people now that see Him every day. Because we have FCA here, because we have Chris here. And people who may not have ever had an influence to move to Christ now have it.